Look, I think by now we know enough of what happened in the sector. You go back to the Radia tapes, you look at the kind of aircraft that were to be ordered, you look at the change in specifications, but I think Jitendra Bhargava put it very precisely. How will you take a decision to fund a certain number of aircraft if you have no hope at all of ever recovering that amount from your operations? And irrespective of the fact whether the EGOM understands the technicalities or not, this indicts both Praful Patel and the entire EGOM, including Chidambaram. Can't they do the simple maths? Do you sanction 2 billion and not ask the question, how will this money be recovered by the airlines? On what basis was this sanctioned? On what basis did Praful Patel come up with this absurd proposal?
Well, let's ask Sanjay Jha that. Sanjay Jha, your rebuttal's ready now. You've got 3 different points to give an answer to.
No, I'll keep it very simple. You know, capital-intensive industries like airlines or hotels,
Mr. Mukhopadhyay, I'll come to you. Please wait.
A lot of capital funding, you tend to have longer gestation periods. I mean, you know, you might have an economic slump which results in low hotel occupancy. Doesn't mean that new hotels don't come up. So there is a certain forecast that you make. Nobody can predict a war. Nobody can predict an oil price change. And let me give an example here. After 9/11, everybody thought that the airline industry all over the world will collapse. They went down and they came up. Now, 1 minute.
No, can you predict an approval of $2 billion in just one EGOM meeting?
Some have done well, some have not done well, and some are making very good profits as well.
So why wasn't the decision done in 2 phases as was suggested by the board? Sanjay, I understand the board had actually suggested that you order the planes in 2 different phases. If you can't predict the way the circumstances are and they can change at any given point of time, keeping in mind the global environment, why did we have to go ahead and order 40 planes, extra planes altogether? We could have done it in phases.
If I can just clarify, it's not a question of just 40 additional planes being ordered. What you have to look into is that there was 18 short-haul aircraft and 10 long-haul aircraft being ordered earlier. Later, this 10 figure went up to 50. So you are going up 500 times as far as the long-haul aircraft is concerned. And that is what has crippled Air India. Now, you cannot make use of these aircraft. Imagine if these aircraft had been delivered and there was no delay in Dreamliner manufacture, it would have been mayhem as far as Air India is concerned. You wouldn't have known. And today, what is Air India doing? Just because they have to justify a decision of aircraft ordering, because the bureaucrats are still loyal. Let me explain to you. They are giving affidavits in the court. They're trying to justify and therefore using Dreamliner for short-haul sectors. It's a long-haul plane. How do you use it for domestic sector? But they're trying to justify the use of the aircraft.
So and as you're actually trying to retrofit something that you've been saddled with.
It is going to cost the airline humongous amounts because there are cycles of maintenance. So every takeoff landing constitutes a cycle. So when you operate a 1.5 to 2 hour flight, you complete the cycles earlier. So it's a maintenance cost that you get onto it. Now, nothing of this kind has been done. So whether it's the bureaucrats or Mr. Praful Patel and the people who are heading EGOM, etc.,
why didn't those who were part of the aviation ministry, part of Air India, make a hue and cry about it? Why didn't they come out and say it that time? Why are people speaking out now? Why is it mentioned in your book later, Mr. Jitendra Bhargava?
For corporate governance, we have been talking about this independent directors. Air India had one independent director on the board, Mr. N. Vagul, former chairman of ICICI Bank, a financial man. Imagine he kept quiet. He did not utter a word to say that, red flag the issue, that sorry, you cannot place an order worth 38,000 crore on a turnover of only 8,000, and when you are making a double-digit profit.
So who's to blame? Aren't the officials within Air India, all those bureaucrats also equally to blame because they did not come out and make a hue and cry saying that, listen, you're saddling us with something which is a dead duck, which is going to sink us all together.
And the whole deal was being done in secret. See, let me give you one example which I quoted in my book on how board meetings were being done during that period.
However it was, sir, everybody is making noise after everything has happened, and that's the question. Why is it happening later? And not just that, I have a bone to pick. And when somebody got shunted, because they made a hue and cry about it, even before they reached the airport, you receive calls that that person has been shunted. Yeah. Why did everybody keep quiet?
Oh, please, let me. I have said it earlier when I released my book. Air India did not have a culture of speaking up.
Why?
Now, question is, when Mr. Sunil Arora wrote a letter to the Cabinet Secretary, forewarning that we are being pressurized to toe a certain line on the aircraft deal. Now, what happened? Now, a lot of people have been saying on the release of these books written by bureaucrats that they should write while in service or speak out while they're in service. You just have to study the career trajectory of Mr. Sunil Arora since he wrote that letter, and you will know what kind of treatment. On one side, government did not pay any heed and corrected the situation. On the other side, you hounded that bureaucrat. What a shame.
No. So that's very easy. No, you get hounded for honesty. So that's why let's not speak up. Is that right? How fair is that, Hartosh Bal? You know, if former ministers are at fault, then so are the bureaucrats. So are those in Air India, because they allowed all of this to happen and nobody made a hue and cry about it.
I wouldn't dispute it.
No, and Mr. Mukhopadhyay, you had a point to make, isn't it? How is it true that the offices of the CNAG were actually being constantly hounded to remove that word nudged, and there was constant pressure to try and keep the ministers out of it?
Look, I don't think that is the main issue here, the issue of being nudged or not nudged. Presumably, the word nudged has been used by Mr. Rai to refer to the meeting held by Praful Patel as the minister in August 2004 or so. So that was above board, it was communicated. The proposal or his suggestion to buy aircraft, more aircraft, was communicated officially to the board of Air India. So I don't think there is much that is wrong in talking. Nudged may have been an unfortunate word, but that's not the issue. The issue really is, look at the EGOM. The EGOM headed by Chidambaram kept the negotiation committee of AIL outside the room when they negotiated the entire deal. The negotiation and the price and the agreement was not, that's what the CAG's report is actually saying. The CAG's report is basically saying that the negotiation process was completely flawed, the way the chronology went. The negotiation committee gets superseded by the oversight committee gets superseded by the EGOM, and finally negotiations are held without the technical team, the representation of the Air India in negotiations with Boeing.
Aman Sinha, do you realize the impact of what Mr. Mukhopadhyay is saying? You know, do we realize the impact of what Mr. Mukhopadhyay is saying and what these the minutes of the meeting say, Aman Sinha? An approval of $2 billion plus in one meeting, and that too chaired by somebody who's a former finance minister. And can we say that nobody knew about the numbers? Can the civil aviation minister, who himself is an industrialist, not know the numbers and the impact of what it would have on a company like Air India?
Praful Patel is misleading.
Yes, Anand, and in fact that is the most important point. That this decision was taken, the decision to acquire about 68 jumbo aircraft was taken without devising a plan how to utilize them.
Just wait on, I'll come to you.
What was this decision taken for? You know, if this was...
Yeah,
Anand, the most shocking aspect was that this decision of about $5 billion of buying these jumbo aircrafts was taken even without assessing where to utilize them and how to utilize them. So therefore, it is not a bona fide decision which went wrong. It is a decision, which at that point in time also he was aware that it is bound to go wrong. There is no two ways about it.
Yeah,
and he was aware of the financial health of the Air India and Indian Airlines. So therefore, this decision was not a bona fide wrong decision. In fact, this is a decision which he was quite aware that without devising any plan, if you go ahead and without understanding the consequences, what it will bear upon the airline, it will give a death knell to the airline. It will it will be relegated to bankruptcy and debt trap.
Is that
what we were seeing the airline in that state of affairs.
Is that the case, Mr. Mukhopadhyay? So you were quoting something. Aman Sinha,
you see the PIB.
Mukhopadhyay had a point to make. He's quoting some details, so I'm just going across to him. Sanjay, I'll come to you after that.
Yeah, the detail.
No, I just want to add one more thing,
Anand, 3.2.6
just if you can just allow me to finish,
7, 8 and 9, 3.2.6 to 3.2.9, and the details show that the PIB approval in October 2005, on the basis of which Praful Patel is saying that this was all done by many committees, actually approved the firm purchase of only 35 aircraft, and they left 15 option to be exercised by the AIL board or AIL management depending on the market situation. What is the market situation PIB is seeing? What is the market situation or assumptions that everybody is talking about in all these approvals of these committees? They're talking about skyrocketing prices of fuel, the inability to realize the revenues, the rationalization required of the entire airlines that the government owns, and so on. So Praful Patel has no business to mislead by saying that this committee approved, that committee approved, that committee approved.
So very quickly, Sanjay, we are running out of time. Right, Mr. Mukhopadhyay, your point taken. Sanjay, we've now seen Mr. Mukhopadhyay give you some instances. Jitendra Bhargava has done that, Vinod Rai has done that. Are you still going to stick to your argument that the due processes were indeed followed?
You know, I'll really appreciate if I get at least a minute of uninterrupted time. Let me give you one example of a ridiculous statement that I read, which is being attributed to the CAG in this entire
No. Let's stick to what Mr. Mukhopadhyay, two former bureaucrats have raised on the panel today.
I'm answering that question. Listen, let me explain that to whoever is on your panel. The point is the CAG has made a statement that the way the Air India could have been made profitable was if the Indian travelers paid more airfare for both traveling from outbound and inbound by
he's horribly wrong on it.
Foreign airlines.
Sanjay, that's the issue, Sanjay. Point is, the Congress today on the panel has been quoting from something which the panelists today have. You have not directly addressed what the panelists today are saying. I have run out of time here.
I've answered your question. If that is the CAG's...
On one side, Ministry allowed or ordered 68 aircraft to be purchased by Air India. On the other hand, it was recklessly doling out bilateral seats to foreign carriers. And so by the time Air India aircraft started arriving in July 2007, there was saturation in the market, and so it is a clear attempt at murdering Air India. Forget anything else.
Well, gentlemen, we have to wind up this Sunday 9 p.m. debate on that note. We're way over time, but what has happened is two former bureaucrats on our debate panel today have raised further questions, and they have countered what Praful Patel told Arnab Goswami while speaking to him. So thank you for joining us. This will follow on into Monday and Tuesday because this is becoming bigger with each passing minute. Thanks for joining us this evening.